Hello Internet, welcome back to our Steam VR project. We're still working with these Vive Trackers, and as you may see, I've extended it a little bit. Well, I've squished the cube. That's what I've done. So this actually has some, you don't know if you can see that, but there's a screw on here. That's because I've got props. So this is a skateboard. And so I have drilled a hole in the center. I don't know if you can see that, but there is a threaded insert in the middle of this. Almost dead center. It's pretty close. So what we're going to be doing is attaching this to the skateboard, and then we're going to be using the tilt and rotation of the skateboard to move you around the scene. I hope. That's the idea. So let me get this attached, and then we'll pick up from there. Hopefully this will be really simple. I'm thinking this is going to be an easy thing, but I have no idea. I've never done this before, so I don't know. Thought this would be fun. So one sec. Right. So this this is a skateboard with a Vive tracker on it. Yeah, that's that. So it isn't centered, which I think might be a problem. I may need to fix it. Not going to worry about that in this video. There's going to be some calibration that I'm going to have to do, because if you rebuild this yourself, you're still not going to be able to reuse my stuff. And to get that working, it's just going to take time. But what we can do is, let's say this is just flat. If you tilt forward, we want you to go forward. If you tilt back, we want you to stop. And then if you lean side to side, you should turn. Slowly, but you should turn. Theoretically, we can actually throw like an infinite hill or something on this, and you'll actually just be able to skate down a hill. I think. I don't know. I've been excited about this. Took me a while to find a drill, because apartment in a city. But now it's working, so we have this, and we can do everything else. So I think what we need to do is track both the X, Y, and Z rotation. And from that, we should be able to track it. I don't think we want the Y. So Y is going to be rotation like this. It's not a snowboard or anything. You don't really turn like this on a normal skateboard. It's still tracked. So if you did like a trick or something, that would still get tracked and you would still see it happen. But I don't see that as movement. And that way you can kind of place it down, and then everything else just works. So we need this will be the Z rotation, this wobble, and then this will be our X. So first things first, that cube is wrong. So let's see if we can get that to align. I have my headset facing me this way, so if I turn the board this way, we should see it horizontal, which I can actually do while it's running, and then we can just save it. So I haven't measured this. I have the measurements for the board itself, but that cube is not to scale. It doesn't need to be. We're just making sure you can actually do locomotion with this. Then the graphics can come later. So don't worry about that. I guess we'll figure it out. Let's see. This is about parallel with the headset. Doesn't look parallel, but that's partially because the tracker itself is on a thread, so it spins. So I'm not even moving the board anymore. I'm just rotating it, unscrewing it. So this 0.1 is wrong. That looks like it's actually that. There. Now we're done. So we have a skateboard. Cool. Now I need to remember these and redo it, because of course it won't save. So 0.25, just need to switch the Y and the Z. There we go. And then this is actually, oops. So Unity has been being really weird with this project. I don't know why, but the scene view, the start view, what's it called? The starting of the view is super far away in the scene view, so it's like 10 meters out or 10 units out, and it still cuts things off. And I have no idea why. restarting and stuff didn't fix it, and it only happens in this project, so I don't know what I did. Maybe it's a VR thing, but that'd be weird. Anyway, we need to actually track this. So, I don't know if you can see it because I can't get any closer, but the board looks like this in our scene right now. It's sort of just sitting vertical. We need it so we can actually track, which means that's not entirely correct. We need to rotate that. Or specifically, we need something that will actually track it in real space. So, I think what I'm going to do is have a position tracker. I can't go closer. And so this, we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. I think that should be good. And I'm going to put a cylinder in there. Oh, that's not going to work. It's going to be all sorts of fun color or fun sized. Let's resize that quickly and then attach it. Cool. So we have a cylinder. Now I want to just scale that down a bunch. Too many bunches. Sorry about this. All right. So we have this cylinder. It's probably going to be huge. That should be fine. But what I'm hoping, if I can get tracking, did I lose it? I might have. Where'd it go? Oh, we lost tracking on one of our controllers. One sec. Our cylinder is correctly tracked. You can see it kind of points on the y-axis. It points up, which is good. That's the one that we wanted to track. And I want to see which direction I have to move this to get it up. Awesome. So positive y is going to be up. So I should be able to stop this, do that, restart it, and now we should have a cylinder on top. Oh, don't make me keep having to do that. That's going to be really annoying. So I guess like I mentioned in the last video, you need both controllers to be tracking for this to work. And that's why all of those interruptions are happening, because one of the controllers stops tracking and then we have to fix it. Anyway, this works now. We have guy on skateboard. Woo! Okay. Now we need to actually track the rotation. And so the reason we put that cylinder there is so that we actually have a better idea, because that cylinder, if I just insert another cylinder, just so you guys can kind of see this, that's also weird. It's like spawning things super far away. Something, maybe the units got screwed up or something, I don't know. But anyway, cylinders spawn straight up. That's the point I'm trying to make. And so since they do, we know that that cylinder on top of our skateboard is actually in the correct orientation. It's in the orientation that you would expect it to be in, which is good because it means that if I stick something and track that's world, or that position trackers, that cylinder's world position, we should get the actual world coordinates that we want that are actually related to the relation of this. So what I am going to do now is actually pull those out. So let's do a rotation input controller. And that's just going to plug on to here. Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And so what this is going to do is it is going to track that that transformation. It's going to track that position. So public transform tracked object. And so this is actually going to be the track thing that we're tracking. That was good English. And so I'm going to expose two variables here. We're going to have the vertical. We'll make them floats. and the horizontal. And so both of these are going to be, what's the word I'm thinking of? Both of these are going to be basically like inputs you would get from Unity's input system. They're going to be between -1 and 1, so effectively an axis, but they're going to be coming from this. So I think we should be able to get these fairly easily. So we were saying if y is this rotation, then this is going to be our x, and this will be our z. The wobble will be the z. So a vertical is actually going to be equal to the arc. That's not what I want. mathf.a. Let's see if I can remember which one to use. Let's see. The default here is 0. So if it starts at 0, and we want that to be 0, that would be a cosine? Sine, sorry, that'd be a sine. So we want our arc sine, and we're going to plug that in from our tracked objects, transformation dot rotation dot x. Yeah, so x is going to be, again, the front and back. So if we track that and take the sine of that, the arc sine, so sine represents the angle, and if we take the opposite of that, is that right? Yeah. So if we give something a set of degrees, if we gave an arc sine the number of degrees something is at, we can get the a scale, I guess, of how much that is from a unit it would have. So say if we get 0.9, that means it's 0.9 of whatever the length of your vector is. I am not a good trig teacher. Anyway, so we have this arc sine. Then for horizontal, we're going to do, I think, the same thing. We'll know pretty quickly, because if I get this into like the resting position, they should be close to 0. They won't be 0, but they should be close. We're going to probably add some like padding so there is obvious zeros and not obvious zeros, but we'll get there when we get there. I don't need to take the transform of a transform. What am I doing here? Okay, so now this is going to be our z, and that's going to be setting the horizontal. If this works, all we need to do then is actually hook this up to just a basic motion controller. And that shouldn't take very long. So let's see what happens. First, important little bit, we actually need to track this, otherwise we're not going to get any values at all, so it's kind of worthless. Key point there. Alright, so now we have the position tracker set up. We get very close to 0. If I move it this way, it's going to climb until it gets close to vertical. Kind of rotated it a little bit. But then we get there. I should be able to, I can spin this, and it doesn't really change, which is good. But if I rotate it, you can see it gets very close to 1. And it's going to get to right around, lost tracking. You're not supposed to spin this upside down. But anyway, point here, this works, and this works. We actually do get -2. It does get a little bit close to, doesn't go between 0 and 1, but I wouldn't expect it to. So these are going to be, I think they explain it a little bit better than I could, but turns the arc sine of f, the angle in radians whose sine is f. Wait, did I do this wrong? Did I just do trig backwards? I think I might have just done trig backwards. Pretty sure. Hold on. I'm gonna feel really silly if I did this backwards. Because I'm pretty... Yeah, I did trig backwards. What am I doing? Okay. figured that out. Yeah, sine is what I want. Okay. Anyway, that's totally irrelevant. It makes sense then why we're getting pi and a half, or half pi. We still get the same values. It just should go between 0 and 1. I'll lose tracking if this goes totally underneath, but anyway, there we go. This tilts. We actually have to tilt it all the way over in order to get close to 1. So this actually doesn't go from 1 to -1, and we have to kind of consider that. And this board itself isn't actually going to tilt that much. I have a 2 different like balance beam type things that you stick underneath this and kind of rest it on, and then you can kind of tilt it like that, and it just sits at rest like this or like this. So that way you can kind of control it a little better. And so those kind of limit how much you can rotate, unless you were like hovering. That would be fun. But anyway, that's sort of the idea here. Now, hopefully what we want to do is actually make this move. So that should be easy, right? We have the inputs. So all I need to do is just move the entire play space, because that's all we need to do. The controller isn't moving, so that should be fine. If I just shift the play space, everything should be where it needs to be. So let's try that. I think this works. We're gonna find out. Skateboard character controller. Sure. So skateboard character controller. We can put that on our camera rig, because why not? That will go there. We're going to need 2 things: a public float max speed and a public float max turn rate. Now, in the future, I may want to update this to use like rigid bodies or something. We're not going to do that right now, just because I feel like that would probably just get a little bit crazy, and I don't really think it's a good idea. I learned my lesson from Asteroids VR. Don't control your player with with rigid bodies and physics in VR. They don't appreciate that. So we're going to stick with this, and I'm going to plug in our rotation input controller, and this will just be our input. And then on update, we are going to take our max, or we're actually just going to take this transform.position, and we're just going to add our max speed. Is this right? Yeah. Add our max speed times the transform dot forward. So just you'll move forward based on the max speed times the inputs vertical times the time delta. So effectively, if you lean forward, you'll go forward at a fixed pace as how far you're leaning forward. And if you lean back, you'll start going backwards, which might be not what we want, but we can tune all of that. We're not going to right now, because this is, I just kind of want to see how this works, how this feels, because I have no idea. So we're gonna see what happens. And this, we're actually going to just rotate around this. What do I want? We want an axis and an angle. So let's do around the up vector. So we can actually rotate around our up, whatever the up thing is, effectively Y. We're effectively rotating just the player. So do that. We also need the angles, which is going to be the max turn rate times our input dot horizontal times the time delta. And so that should be our character controller, right? We have rotation and position. Obviously the controls are limited, but also keep in mind you can actually physically still pick this up. Granted, we don't have like grounding control yet, but theoretically you could actually pick this up and walk over like a fence or something and then put it back down and just keep going, all in VR. I think that's pretty cool. So we haven't gotten there yet, but we'll see. So plug in the rotation controller, give us a max speed of, say, let's go slow. Let's say 2 meters per second. That's actually not that bad. And then a turn rate, which is going to be in degrees per second. And now keep in mind, the max turn rate is only going to happen never, because you'd have to do this, which you're never going to do. So we're going to need to tune this based off of not just the maximum possible, but also based off of how you actually use it. We'll probably end up wanting to change this and using some sort of curve so that it actually feels more natural. So like it ramps up as you turn more and more and is more exponential in growth. But for now, we can just use nice linear stuff. Ha! It works. Oh, this is cool. Okay. I have no idea how this will feel yet, but I'll probably play around with this and get some of the values kind of tweaked on my own time, because I think that just makes more sense. But I'm pretty happy with this. I mean, it's obviously still simple, but I think we can make this work. So this is sort of where I'm taking this project. If you guys have ideas, let me know. I haven't really thought about what this is actually going to look like. I was thinking just an infinite downhill slope thing, but if you guys have ideas, I'd love to hear them, because I don't know, maybe you have better ideas than I do. But this is one of the projects I've been working on, so kind of wanted to share it and see what you guys think. So let me know in the comments below, and I will pick this up in another video. So until then, see you, Internet.